going, everyone? My name is Case, and today we're checking out a very special vehicle. This is my dad's 1996 Porsche 911. Now we're here in sunny Florida. I'm actually on vacation, but this is a car that's worth making a video on, so let's check it out. Now here it is. This is my dad's 1996 Porsche 911 Carrera convertible, and of course this car has a 6-speed manual because there's really no other way to do it. Now this is my dad, Captain Dirk Van Rees, and you bought this car in 1998.
1998, correct. It was 2 years old, just came off of a lease, 17,000 miles. It was in great shape, all original. I scooped it up and I've had it ever since. Made a couple of modifications. I added this wing, which is an aftermarket piece that was available back then.
Yeah, and you said that this is the only non-Porsche part that's on the car, right?
It is, and I actually really like it. I mean, you know, you can't find parts like that today, but it kind of harkens back to the whale tail car, and which was a really good look. And
I think it makes this other wing that came factory on the car look a lot more, you know, it makes it look less out of place.
Exactly. The third brake light, which is a requirement in the U.S. back then, the European cars didn't have it. I felt like this kind of balanced the back out a little bit.
Yeah, and then another thing that we like a lot on this car is this exhaust that you put on here. Do you remember the company that makes this exhaust?
I don't. I'd have to look at it, but it's a full stainless steel exhaust. Really high-end piece, and I really like these mufflers. Are you know, it's just a really sharp look. So
yeah, it's very minimal, but it's got a great sound to it. It's a lot better than factory. The other U.S. spec thing that's on this car are these bumperettes that are on the back.
The bumperettes in back. Yeah, the newer cars, it's all integrated into the bumper. You don't have a piece like that sticking out, but you know, that's part of the period look for this car. They also had bumperettes up front, which I removed. And
yeah, because the bumperettes on the front kind of ruin the lines, but on the back, I think it actually looks pretty cool.
No, I think I agree, it's fine.
And now, you also have these HRE wheels on here. These are 2-piece with a polished lip, and this is a great looking wheel.
It's a great looking wheel. It's a symmetrical wheel. The factory original were just silver alloy wheels, and they were asymmetrical, but it's the same wheel both left and right, and so on one side it looks like it's going forward. Yeah, the spokes go forwards,
and on the other side the spokes go back, and I'm the same way. That kind of bothers me. So having this symmetrical wheel is really nice. The other thing that I love about the wheel and tire setup on the back especially is, look at how fat that is.
I mean, that's a massive tire, and you know, the German cars were relatively conservative back in the early 90s, and here you have a car that has a wide slick like that, but you really need it for the weight balance of the car to...
Yeah, with that motor sitting over the back axle. Right. Yeah, and it's a 285. That's a big tire.
It's a lot of tire, yeah.
Now, walking towards the front, there's a couple other modified items. So obviously the bumperettes, like we mentioned, are no longer up here, and you've also got a clear lens for the turn signal.
Exactly. So this is the European front end, which I think looks so much better. The American front end had a bumperette right here, and then you had an orange turn signal over here. This is the European turn signal. I removed the bumperette, and then we just went with a white bulb. You could put an orange bulb in there, but this is just a much better, cleaner look. And then the chin spoiler is off the turbo car, which was an option for this car also. So I went with that spoiler. It's just a better looking front end.
Yeah, and that cleans up the front end a lot. Another thing that makes this car look a lot more proper is that you dropped it down to the European ride height. So the American ride height would have been raised. That happens with a lot of European cars that get brought to the States, because your headlights have to be at a certain height in the U.S. to be legal. So
I may be pushing that a little bit here with this car, but it's never been an issue.
Well, and that's really only a rule for the manufacturer. You can drop your car down and your headlights can be lower, and you know, that doesn't matter as the individual. It also just makes a car look so much better. This is the height that it was meant to be at. Now let's go ahead and pop the top on this, because I have to say, you know, I usually am not a huge fan of convertibles, but on a Porsche, it just makes sense. I mean, there's so many classic Porsches that have convertibles. Think James Dean era, open top race car, you know. Oh yeah. Nice. And now we also get a look at this interior. I love this tan leather with the black accents, it being kind of two-tone. I really think that on these 993 era 911s, this is the best looking interior color combo. What do you think?
I think, you know, a lot of people like the triple black, black top, black interior, black car. I think having a little contrast is really nice, and you know, leather should look like leather, and it certainly does in this car.
You know, the other great thing about 911s, and they still do this, is this set of gauge pods. I mean, it's just this huge array of round gauges, and it looks awesome.
So if I can point out real quick, a couple things about Porsche that harken it back to the racing days. Keys on the left side, so you could be starting the car and with your right hand putting it in the gear to get going faster. That goes back to the days of racing when the race drivers would run up to their car, jump in, have to start it, and get off the line.
Do you find yourself doing that often?
Every day I go to the grocery store that way. And then the other thing that goes back to the racing heritage of this car is that the biggest gauge is the tachometer, and it's also in the center. Because when you're driving hard, that's really the gauge that matters. So.
Now, in terms of mileage, this car is still very low. It's just over 50,000 miles.
Yeah,
so, I mean, it's like brand new, honestly, and it drives like brand new. We will get this out on the road in just a moment. Now, let's go ahead and check out under the hood, which, of course, it's a 911, so it's in the back. This is a naturally aspirated 3.6 liter flat six. It makes 272 horsepower and 243 pound-feet of torque, which is not a ton, but this car only weighs 3,000 pounds, so you really don't need all that much power. And the nice thing about it, too, is that you can really wring this car out and enjoy revving it out without going way too fast, way over the speed limit. Sometimes when cars are too fast, it makes them harder to enjoy. But this is the last of the air-cooled 911s, this 993 generation, so it's pretty cool. It's air and oil cooled.
What's interesting is every time I drive this car, I park and someone will come up to me and say, wow, I love these old Porsches, and they try to buy it from me. Honestly, I could get more for the car today than I paid for it 20 plus years ago. So I think that's a testament to the quality and the desirability of these cars. People still love them.
They drive so nice. Even if it's not the most high performance vehicle in the price range, the steering feel is incredible. The pedals have a ton of feedback, and the same with the shifter. It's all just so perfectly sorted and refined, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a car that they've been building for so long, and the design has held the test of time. So it's a very well-engineered car. The cost of ownership for me has not been high because the car is so well built, and I love the fact that it's just a historic car that still meets the standards of car buyers today.
Now, you've owned this car for more than 20 years, so that's long enough to figure out the things you like and dislike about it. So what would be your couple favorite things, and what are your least favorite things?
What I love about this car is how solid it is, and it's got a very mechanical feel to it. It doesn't rattle. It's a driver's car. No cup holders. The stereo's not great. I mean, it has one, but when you're in this car driving, that's what you're doing. You're driving a car. Shifting gears, the clutch feels great, the engine, the acceleration, the steering input, it's all fantastic. So probably the hardest thing about the car is for some of those same reasons. If you want to go somewhere, be comfortable and relax driving, this is not the car for you. You have to be on point driving the car all the time.
Anyways, that's all for this video. Be sure to go back to TFL Classics because I'm also going to be producing a little video on another very cool vehicle that my dad has here in Florida, and one more on TFL Bikes, so go check that out as well. We'll see you in the next one.